Hello guys, this is Pedram Raufi and you're watching the markets review of today. We are going to go through the stock market, Forex pairs, and of course the cryptocurrency market as well. We're going to see what kind of news background we have, what kind of prognosis have been realized from previous time when we talked. And of course we are going to go through today's economic calendar, look what kind of economic releases we have for today. And for day traders, we are going to check the low scale charts of different main Forex pairs, stock market indexes, main stock market indexes, and of course the main cryptocurrency pairs which we have on our broker's terminal. Let's start from the whole situation which we have. And as you already know, the oil prices and of course the natural gas prices are rising. The main reason of this price rising is the energy crisis, which is continuing. And as we already told you, as we've already knew, after the energy ministers of Saudi Arabia speech previous week about that, guys, don't worry about Biden's policy, oil prices are not going to dump so much. We are actually seeing the situation during which the oil prices is not kind of going really deep, and they have just made some correctional downward movement, and they're continuing to rise. There is different kind of prognosis about oil prices that they're going to actually hit $100 in near future, and as well about stock market. There's a really great optimism despite the dollar's strengthening nowadays. We're going to go through all of these charts, all of the main assets charts. We're going to start from one of maybe interesting factors of today, the news which have been released from yesterday. And it's about the midterm tendency of the energy stock assets, the shares of energy companies, energy-related companies, which are going to rise in the near future. We've found some of the important and maybe the best valued stocks and shares and ETFs of energy sector, and we are going to actually analyze them. We are going to go through all of them and look what kind of opportunities we have. And actually some of them are about to testing the highs, but some of them are located, the price of them are located in a really good valued moment, in a very good valued point from which you can actually get into the market again. There is, as you see, different type of these companies, different tickers. You can actually find these companies later in the internet and learn about them, just look about them, just maybe check. There's I don't know, some releases which are related to the profit of these companies, the depth of these companies. But as we already know, there is a prognosis about the energy stocks companies that they can continue the upward movement in the future. First stock is DVN, and on a daily chart, as we see, it's already today's candles already testing highs, and after the closure of this candle at the end of today's American session, the situation will be more understandable. And the opening of next candle, if it is going to be higher than previous candle and higher this maximum, so it could actually mean that price could really go higher. And $46, $48, that's maybe the range that could get retested in the near future for this stock. Let's go through the 15-minute chart, and as we see here, we have accumulation of the energy, which could as well end by next price impulsive rise. CLR, and let's start from daily chart. As we see, today's candle is kind of showing us some negative downward correction, but it actually have opened above previous day's candle. So that's a really good sign of the probability of next upward movement, the continuation of the upward movement in the future. Now we're actually testing a really important level, which is about $50. And as you know, $50 is a psychological level. The retest of psychological level, in many ways, it could really make prices to go crazy. It could make them to get more volatile, and it could make them the price to get to make some impulsive movements. So the retest of $50 today could show us that where the prices are going to get next. If today's candle is going to close above $50, that's a good signal of the midterm continuation of the upward movement of the stock, of the share of this company. Let's go through the 15-minute chart and see what kind of things we have here. Unfortunately, here we have a signal of a probability of a downward correction. As you see, sorry. Here we have a here we have actually the signal of really impulsive retest of maximum and the next fixing of the price under the level of $50. So maybe we could get some next impulsive movement upward, but after the next impulsive movement, if they are going to be upward, it could mean that maybe in the midterm prices could go through some downward correction. But at least after the end of this downward correction, if it gets to 48, and if it won't get under 48 in future, for buyers in the future it could be a good signal for midterm buyings. It means that in the future for buyers, it means that they can actually return to market after prices get fixed above 48, and if they won't get under this level, if they won't get fixed under this level. Next here we have a MRO, this next stock which we have. Here's accumulation in the 15-minute chart, and in the daily chart as well, we are actually looking through the retest of some resistance, but the potential of next upward movement is high as well. During the day, we could actually get dumped correctionally, but we have to pay attention if we are going to get fixed above $17. If you are above $17 and if we get fixed above $17 on the 4-hour chart, on the 1-hour chart, it could mean that during the day, for day traders, it could be a good opportunity to continue the buys. But in some way, all of the stocks are showing us that they are actually continuing the upward movement, and they could get some correctional movements as well. But here we have some local supports after the retest and after the fixing above of which we could get more sure about next upward continuation of next upward movement. MPC, here at the daily chart, we have the situation which looks like that prices are going to retest a mirror level or a historical support, which is about $65, and that's a good level as well. That's an important level as well. If we get fixed above this level, that could be a really good sign. But the opening of today's candle was really under it was lower than the closing of yesterday's candle. And this could maybe signal that the prices in the near future could stop the upward movement, and during some days they could get correctionally dumped. So due to this fact, maybe here we have to wait for the next correctional downward movement, and then after the next fixing of the prices above $62, we could return to the two buys during the day. What is going on in a 15-minute chart of this share? As we see here, we have accumulation, and as well here we have some signal of a probability of the continuation of correctional downward movement, because we have already retested this main maximum, and after that we are getting divergence here, as you see, between the RSI oscillator and the highs of today's price movement. So there is some kind of correctional movements in the near future. There's some sign of it for most of these shares. We have to be careful. And what's next? The HFC. The situation is kind of looks as well as the other ones. Here's a range which is mirror range of 35 and 32. And we are actually located between this range. And after we get above this range or get under this range, the next price movement would be more visible, would be more recognizable. So we have to wait maybe for the fixing of price above $32, and maybe until we get fixed above this level, we could get some downward movements. Very important to not get fixed under $32. If we get fixed under $32 on 4-hour chart or on 1-hour chart, it could signal deeper dumping. So we have to be careful about this. AM. There's actually a really interesting situation here. Mirror level is getting retested, and we are kind of rebouncing, and we have kind of reversal here. If we get fixed above $10.50, this could be a really good sign of next upward movement. But the opening of today's candle was lower than the yesterday's candle, which means that maybe we could get some consolidational movement here in near future. And in any way, for midterm traders, there's a really good ratio of risk for buyers. There's a good ratio of risk and next profit, which could really get realized. So here we have to maybe wait for some correctional downward retests, which could be really impulsive. And if they are going to be impulsive, this would be a real good sign of the near future share prices rising. And this could actually signal that we could in the near future return to the shares to buy them and continue the upward long positions. TRGP, here we have a widening of volatility, which in some ways we call it the expanding formation, when volatility getting wide, and this kind of pattern in sometimes, and actually most of times, it forms simultaneously with a divergence between daily highs, or the weekly highs and the oscillator line. So this divergence and this pattern actually for midterm could mean that prices could get dumped a little. But in the near future, we have the retest of $58, we have the retest of $60 or maybe $59 in the near future. So we have the probability here of the next impulsive retest of $59, $58, and after this retest we could get dumped a little. But this is really important for midterm buyers not to get fixed under $54 or $55. Very important to not to get fixed under these levels. Or if we are getting fixed under these levels, the candles have to look like this. The candles have to be the dojis, or as we say, the candles with really long shadows and a really little body could mean long downside shadow and a really little body, which could mean that prices are getting actually rebounded, which we are seeing here. So if we even get under this, if we get fixed under this level for a day, we have to look at the formation of the candle. If the candle looks like this is actually a good signal of next reversal and next upward movement. But here we have a really important pattern, which is a widening formation or expanding formation when volatility is getting wider and wider. And during this kind of formation, we have to wait. But for daily traders, or for example, short-time traders, as we see here for intraday traders, we have some probability of trading due to this accumulation here. We could have some impulsive upward movements, but we have to actually pay attention that this level, which is getting retested now, is kind of a mirror level in the due to the history of price movement of 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. OKE is rising as well. We have rebounded very beautifully actually from the local support, and there's a potential of next upward movement and the retest of nearest local resistance, which is located about $66. And after the impulsive retest of this level, we could get rebounced. We could get rebounced, and we could really get maybe reversed and correctionally go under and go deeper maybe. But due to the 15-minute chart, as well here we have an accumulation which is actually not bad, but due to, for example, 16-minute charts, let's see, there is some signals of next upward movement which is already happening, which is actually happening, and here is the potential next upward movement. So at least for conservative traders, there is a potential of next upward movement. So maybe if you're a day trader, you're going to look through the 5-minute chart and just make sure that trades are more possible, would be more possible for you. TPL is the next share which we are going to check, and here we are looking that prices have been fixed under a mirror level, which could be a really bad sign for buyers. But due to this rebounds, due to this short time rebounds which we hear from 3 days ago, we could really have a potential of next upward retest of 1,360, 1,380 in the near future. So we have to look through it. We have to be sure that opening of today's candle higher than the yesterday's candle, this is a good sign actually, and we could get some impulsive upward movements here. IWB daily chart opening near to the local support of 260, and this opening could mean that prices really could go lower maybe, but if today's candle closed above this level, this is a really good sign. It could mean that prices are going to get higher. During the day, we could observe the continuation of upward movement. Actually, here we have a gap, and the continuation of upward movement, we could really get it. Here, if you pay attention, we had a upward wedge near to the local mirror level, which actually was a good signal for buyers to just cut buys, to just get out of market, because look at here, we have a downward movement. But this fixing, if we won't get under 260 or 261.50 for short-term tradings, this could be a good signal of the continuation of upward movement in midterm. TRP daily chart. As well, here we are actually kind of stuck above a support of $48, and if we get fixed under $48, that won't be a good sign. Today's candle have to get fixed above this level. If we get fixed above this level, this could mean that upward movement could really continue. But for maybe midterm traders, we have to actually pay attention that here we could get a widening formation in the near future as well. This could mean the volatility could really get crazy, it could really get impulsive, and during this kind of formations, you cannot actually trade. EQT, as we are observing, have already reversed from a support range of $20.40 or $20, which is a psychological level. And here we have a consolidation which could actually end by impulsive movement. This impulsive movement, due to daily chart and due to the opening of today's candle, could really mean that maybe next price movement could start maybe lower, but at midterm we have to observe the whole strengthening of price and after the retest of $20, which is a psychological level. KMI, which is rising in the daily chart, and it looks like really good, as well as exactly as one of the stocks which we've already checked. The value is really in a good point, and here actually this stock could really get higher in the future as well if we get fixed above $60.80, $60.60. So it's very important to get stocked due to the daily candles above this level. Now we have a really impulsive candle for today, and if the oil prices are going to continue the rise or going to reverse from the local supports, we could really have a really good rally on all of these shares, because all of them are related to the energy sector. So actually we here finished with the stocks about which we wanted to talk. There's some of news for today which could be maybe important for you. As you know, Federal Reserve System have already made his decision that, and he's actually repeating it really often, about that he's going to hike the interest rates, but this hiking is actually going to take place in next year. So they are talking about it, and all of these verbal interventions could really help the price of dollars to continue its crazy rally, which is now happening. And if you look at the dollar prices due to the 4-hour chart or daily chart, from previous time, which dollar were located here, we were talking about the reversal of dollar. And because actually we had some signal of the reversal, which is a divergence between the maximums of a week and between the maximum of week and the line of RSI oscillator, which could mean the reversal. But for dollar prices, we actually have to wait for the fixing under $96. $96 is a really important level, and if we get fixed under this level, this could be a real good sign. But any nearest downward correction as well could continue to 96, 96.20. So here we have some signal actually next downward movement. But as we know, dollar prices, if it's going to be above 96, this could be a good signal for a midterm continuation of dollar price rising. But anyway, till the end of this year, many of analysts are promising that the price of stock market indexes is going to get higher, and despite there is a probability of a 10% correction, which still exists. But this situation which we have here nowadays with dollars is really related to the Federal Reserve System's speech, which kind of verbally trying to get dollar prices go higher, talking about the higher inflation, talking about the interest rates hike. But this interest rates hiking is actually going to take place somewhere the middle of next year. So for stock market prices in the midterm will look really positive, and for nowadays dollars continuing the upward movement. 96, the level of 96 is very important. If we get stuck above this level, this could mean that the price is going to rise. But if we get stuck under this level, this could mean that the reversal of dollars kind of starting already. And what's next? Let's go through the stock market indexes, and let's go what kind of situation we have here for stock market indexes of S&P 500, Dow Jones, which have been reversed from the target level about which we talked previously, the target level of the minimums of 23rd of November, and the prices already retested it and they have already rising above it. But what's going to happen next? Let's go to the daily chart. Here, the opening of today's candle is really good, is above yesterday's candle. Here we have a really big probability of next upward impulse. And for Dow Jones, it could be as the same. Daily chart opening higher than the previous day's candle. And here we have as well a really good potential of next potential upward impulse. And next we are going to go through the Forex pairs analysis. So we need to check the calendar of today's day, and we have to see what kind of releases we have. Unfortunately, today's calendar is really out of releases, but there is two important things that are going to happen at 12:30 by Greenwich time. The European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde's monetary policy speech, and which is actually important because they are not going to hike the interest rate. They are not going to tighten the monetary policy, but sometimes they talk about the high inflation. And of course, the British bank chief speech, which have already promised us to hike the interest rate faster than the United States Federal Reserve or the European Central Bank, which could be a really good signal for British pound, but it's actually haven't happened yet. So we have to wait for it, and both of these speeches are really important. So we have to actually see and check what is going to happen today. Euro dollar, pound dollar, Australian dollar, and New Zealand dollar. Two United States dollars is a pair which we are going to check, and let's see what is going on with them. As we see here, let's start from the euro. Here we have the retest of the mirror level of 1.1280 or 1.12, as we say, 1.1228 or 1.1230, which is here. And if we won't get fixed above this level, this could mean that prices are going to get dumped. But I think that dollar prices could really, in the near future, could start the downward movement. So here we have some opportunities of next upward impulsive movement. We don't have any signs of reversal or divergence, but the amplitude is really low. And as you know, for euro, nowadays, is a really bad situation that COVID infection level is really high in Germany, and it's going to have this high impact on the euro prices. So for buyers of euro, I'm not really sure, but for the scalpers, maybe it would be some chances to use the upwards impulsive movements in the future. Due to the 5-minute chart of euro, if it opens it, let's see, don't want to open it. Here we have some retest of local resistance, which could actually signal the next downward correctional movement during the day. So for euro, I'm not really sure because it's in a worse situation. But pound have already is near to the local supports and it's retesting the local supports. Here we have some accumulation and we could really get some downward impulses, which is good for scalpers. But what is going to happen to pound after the retest of local minimum? And due to the daily chart, we actually have the opening of today's candle under the previous day's candle, which is not a really good sign, but just pay attention that just yesterday we broke through the historical minimum. And this kind of breakthrough could mean that prices in the midterm could get into a consolidational phase. And this consolidational phase for day traders could mean that prices are going to get pumped inside the channels, inside the really, really thin channels. So here it's better, especially due to this previous impulsive retest of this support, it's really better to wait and get to the market as a bull, as to open the long positions, but to close them during the day. Australian dollar is already showing us that this factor is working, which means that yesterday's impulse, which made all of these pairs to get retest the local minimums, is already signaling the next reversal or the next return, the next turn of the price movement into a consolidational phase. And if we get really stuck above 0.7190, it would be a really good signal for day traders to continue the buys. New Zealand dollar is already showing us that amplitude is getting lower after the retest of local minimum. Prices are not really going so far, and here this minimum is actually a historical minimum for most of these pairs. For example, for New Zealand dollar, as we see. In the midterm, of course, we have the probability of the next dumping, impulsive dumping for all of these pairs. But for today, for today's day, for tomorrow, maybe we could get some consolidational movement or some really moderate upward strengthening of the prices inside some channels in 15-minute charts or in 5-minute charts. So for day traders, this could be a really good signal for trading during the day as a bulls, to open the long positions and close them during the day. What is going on with the prices of the gold? And let's see what is going on with the prices of the gold. The price of the gold and all of the commodity like silver, all of them have consolidated previously. And this is related to the situation which we have now on the stock market and with the dollar. Dollar is rising, and of course the gold price is going to dump because of some fears of inflation and etc. But the gold prices in the future could really get above a 1,800 because the amplitude in a daily chart or in 4-hour chart is getting really low after the retest of 1,800. And next, what we're gonna have mainly is the retest of 1,800, and if we get an impulsive retest of 1,800, this could mean that prices could continue the consolidation, but if they get pushed to this level, this would mean that prices are going to rise further. Look through the silver prices, 23.80, 24. These levels are really going to get retest, I think. But here we have some really low risk potential for buyers, which we could use as buyers to open limit orders as well. If we get to retest this minimums of 23.40 or 23.20 with a one impulse, after that we could really open the limit orders of long transactions. I mean long positions. I'm sorry. United States dollar to CHF and to Japanese yen as well. Consolidation is continuing, but here for long positions, I think we could have some upward impulse, but after that we could really get dumped. Here from previous time we had a divergence which already worked, as you see. And for Japanese yen, situation is already look like that prices are not going to get dumped so far, but for buyers situation here is really speculative. So if you're a buyer, maybe here you have to get into some scalpings and try to close your buys during the day because of the volatility. And oil prices, which we have talked about, which are rising nowadays. And as you see, prices need to retest the local minimum of 77.80 and 77. And from previous time, we have actually found a divergence here, which made prices to go deeper. But in the near future, if we get retest the 77, 77, 60 with a one impulse, this could mean that prices could rise next, could get strengthened above these levels and go higher. And of course, if something like that happened, the United States dollar to Canadian dollar could further get dumped, but after an impulsive upward retest of 1.2680 or 1.27. And we are going to finish our today's review by the price analysis of the Bitcoin prices. Here in the 15-minute chart, we have a real good signal of a reversal, a retest of local resistance, 58,000. And if we get fixed under 58,000 with the continuation of downward movement, it could mean that prices could really get lower during the day. But in the midterm, we are more sure about the continuation of downward movement and retest of 55,000 and 53. So in midterm, we are waiting for this. Maybe for buyers, it would be really better to wait for some continuation of this downward movement and then get into markets about when the price is going to be about 50,000 or 78 or 77, or 47 or $48,000. So for Ethereum situations, look like Bitcoin, because we are getting retesting the local resistance, and in the near future we could get some dumpings, but after that we could get some continuation of upward impulse and retest of 4,400. But in the midterm as well, here we are looking through the situation which we could get dumped more. So for scalpers of Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe during some 2 or 3 days or 1 day, it could be a really better point to get into buys, but you have to close them really fast, because after the near retest of 4,400 of Ethereum prices or $60,000 of Bitcoin prices, we could get dumped further. So you have to pay attention on this factor. Guys, don't forget that we have a really interesting sell-off for you, which is related to the Black Friday, and it's working. And you have to just check our site, our official site, and look for these boxes, which are made for you to get your trading more soft and more simple. In each of these boxes, we have different type of product, and they are actually really upgraded, and you have to choose them due to what you need. In each of them, we have different type of the terminal working and the orders opening and closing conditions, and different tools which we use and which we have for traders, which they could use to make the profit get higher and make the loss to get lower. And of course, the different lessons from our greatest traders and analysts in these courses, in these boxes, so you can actually purchase them by the sell-off, by the discount, because of the Black Friday. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe on our channel. And till next time, guys, have good tradings. Bye-bye.